The form tag is used quite simply to encapsulate all of the elements that are actually part of your form.
This video is brought to you by OppiePies Academy.
So we could start the form tag here, and then inside where my cursor's flashing is where we'd have all of the elements. For example, the text fields and the drop-downs that are part of the form itself, so the user can actually input data into a web application. So let's go ahead and name this form All About You. Now the form tag has two attributes that are normally associated with it. These are really important and need to be included every time the form is going to be processed off of the server that your website is on. So the first we're going to have is a method, and the second is an action, and these can be in either order. So the method is essentially how is the data going to get to the server which is going to process it. Now you have to remember that the server is going to use a language like PHP, which we're going to look at a little bit later on in the course, to process the actual form data. That's not done by HTML. That needs to be done in what's called a back-end server language. JavaScript can do some stuff with the data, but generally it's going to a back-end processor. The method by which it's sent is either get or post. Most commonly, you'll see post just like that. Post takes all of the data and puts it in what's called an array that is accessible by the back-end program that's going to process it. So it'll take all the data and put it in this array, which is really a list of data, and makes it available. Now, get, which you'll also see, is less secure. It'll take all of the form information the user typed in, let's say their name, their email address, and it'll put that actually in the URL. So you'd see that in the URL. You might see something like www.wow.com, and then you'd see the get information, which might look like this. Name equals Mark. Last name equals Lassoff. So the data the user types in the form in a get is put in what's called a query string, and that query string appears up here. It might include all of the information they typed in. Now, of course, the problem with that is that it's exposed. So if they've typed something like their social security number, they're not going to be very happy. So generally, if you can, I use post. The action here is the actual address of the page that's going to process the data. And that can be a PHP page, could be process.php, or another language. There's a number of different languages that can take data from the actual website and process it. We're going to do that with the Python programming language later on in the course. But the form method and action are key to making the form work. So you'll start your form with both a method and an action, and then you'll end the form after you have all of the information you want sent to that form processing page. Now, don't worry too much about the form processing page right now. Right now with HTML, we're just designing the form and getting it ready to go to that processing page. We'll learn a lot more about the processing page later on in the course.